kind of moving like something a little bit more serious, I just thought this would be an interesting point of conversation because I know we've spoken about this kind of thing before, but I don't know if you caught the whole thing with Rams. You know, might link my ting from barking 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah,
that dude.
Yeah, very talented man. Go on. That song is so rubbish. But no, go on. I think I know where you're going with this. I just don't understand. Oh, never mind. Anyway, go on. No, tell the story. I kind of know he's suffering from depression, isn't he?
Basically,
yeah.
This dude must have put up on Instagram a picture of someone being hung. It was like on a
a lot of people
tree,
are doing
whatever,
this these days. Yeah.
And put underneath, John, seriously, and put underneath suicide.
Why?
And then someone took it down.
Yeah.
But then there's a message that's been put up from his mum and management, basically saying he's getting the help he needs.
Good.
So he obviously has, like you said, probably suffering from depression, anxiety.
Yeah, most people are these days.
Maybe, well, but I think there's different levels. You know what? I'm someone that really feels that mental health is not something to be laughed at. And I know you're not laughing at like a mental health issue.
It's just the whole social media thing of like, you put up this picture.
Problem.
How many people have done that?
But the problem is here, this is the thing, like where do you decide that this is actually a genuine call for help?
Yeah.
Because I think with him, it's been kind of going downhill from when he performed at the Capital Summertime Ball and they rinsed him for miming and out of tune and all the rest of it. And he's been trolled like a mofo.
Yeah, then I think a couple of months ago, people were saying that he was gay or some stupidness.
Really?
Yeah, it was just really ridiculous.
I mean, so what if he is? But I mean, it's like all of these things, and he's a young man. Remember, he's still a youngster.
Yeah, he's still very young. He's from Essex, isn't it?
Right. I don't think that matters where he's from.
No, I'm just saying it. No, I was just thinking.
Essex,
I just remember the song. He's from Essex.
Barking,
that's it.
No, he was thinking he's ting from Barking.
That song is
He's probably from South. He's probably from your ends.
No, he's nothing. He's from Barking.
He's from Lewisham.
He's not from my ends. We don't make music like that.
Oh, well, excuse me. The people in South London don't make music like that. I bet you he's from your end. I bet you any money. I bet you he's going to have to eat your words.
Do you remember when he performed it at Capital Extra? Was it Capital Extra?
At the Capital Summertime Ball.
What happened? It's like,
I think he couldn't hear the music. Like,
he couldn't hear.
So he was off beat. And he got rinsed for that.
Yeah.
Rinsed.
But it wasn't the first time that this had happened to him.
Yeah, it kind of went a bit pear-shaped a few times.
Yes.
So he's been trolled, and I think things will get into him. And I think the reason why I thought it would be an interesting point of discussion is because I know we've spoken about mental health before, but I don't think you can talk about it enough in that, especially young black boys and black men. Like there are a lot of black men and boys suffering from depression and anxiety, even like psychosis and all of these other, mental health issues that they're still scared to talk about and be open about because of the stigma that is attached to it. And also, how do you tell your boy, man's feeling a bit depressed, Like automatically, a young boy especially is going to feel like that's going to lose him street points or credibility points or whatever it is. Although I think the tide is changing somewhat.
Well, it's changing a lot because everyone's talking about it now.
But then that's another problem because you've got people that you don't know who's
genuine,
clout chasing, right? And who is genuine. So I think you do have to keep the conversation going, and you do have to encourage, especially younger boys, to be able to air and share their feelings.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And if you do feel like you're under pressure, whether it's silly to everybody else, whether it's because of social media is making you feel like you should be somebody that you're not, whether it's because you can't afford to buy this and that brother can do that, whatever it is that's making you feel pressured, it needs to be dealt with. As silly as it may be, it has to be dealt with, otherwise it manifests into something bigger.
Well, he's getting the help that he needs now, according to his mum.
Yeah.
So if after that he'd put a message saying, I'm taking a break, whatever. But then it's just the whole thing of where they do these things that I'm depressed, so they post a picture of someone hanging or just to frighten their fans. And it's also to get attention.
I think, so. Yeah, well, it is. A lot of the time it's a cry for attention. And this is the thing.
And sympathy.
When you're suffering from mental health issues, it's when it gets to the point where you're calling for attention, that is when I feel like it's a critical point. Because look how long you've probably been sitting on those feelings for before he got to the point of doing something that we see as okay, that's just a bit wild. Like, why did you do that? But if you really think about it, how long was he feeling certain feelings before he got to that point of doing that? Do you know what I'm saying?
Probably from last year when people were laughing at him.
You don't even know. He could have been someone that's predisposed to mental health illness from young.
Yeah, possibly. Well, my mum was a mental health nurse. She used to work at the Maudsley Hospital. She said that the majority of men that were admitted were black.
Well, of course.
Because it's prevalent in our community. So...
But I also think a lot of it's to do with society and the way we're dealt with as people.
Yeah,
I think
racism,
that's what kind of, all the pressures and stuff. This is why I say, like, even if it does seem off and even if it does seem weird, even if it does seem like you're just calling for attention or you're being extra, like, we have to pay attention.
Well, hopefully has he been admitted or is
I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs with him in particular.
Okay.
I'm just saying in general.
Yeah, it's something that needs to be addressed. Like, there's too much going on. Like, sometimes...
I feel so passionate about it because I just feel like, like if a white boy goes to his mum and says, "Mummy, I'm having suicidal thoughts," straight away that's dealt with. Well, okay, you know what? I shouldn't even draw colour into it, but I think what I'm trying to basically say is, like, just to draw a comparison. Yeah. Like, I feel like a black parent, maybe not so much now, I feel like because the conversation is happening a lot more, I feel like parents would probably be a bit more receptive. But before, they'd be like, "Shut up," you know what I mean? Like,
just get on with it.
Get on with what you're doing, like, and just bat it off. When that's a real thing. If someone says to you, "I'm feeling suicidal," that's not a joke.
But this has been going on for decades in our community.
Of course, it's been going on for decades.
But hopefully now people are paying more attention
we need
and
to
do more before somebody gets sectioned under the mental
either
health
sectioned
Act.
or takes their own life, and then you'd be like, we didn't know
because it's
happened. The writing was on the wall.
Yeah, it's happened.
No, that's my concern. And Rams, I can't speak for Rams's individual situation. But I just feel like he's a representation of, like, young black London, especially, and there's a lot of pressures on these young boys, whether it's violence on the street.
Yeah, it's a lot of mental illness there.
Yeah,
I can tell.
I mean,
it's like something's not right there.
Well, of course not. For you to kill someone, like, you've got to be slightly tapped.
There's something over just foolishness.
But a lot of the time, it's from what I understand. I mean, obviously, again, I can't speak on it because I don't know the ins and outs, but I feel like a lot of the time when violence and gun crime and stuff, it's all about, like, obviously gang violence. But when you have gang violence, there's a lot of needing to be accepted.
Yeah,
so the things
want to
that
fit in.
Yeah.
Want to move with it. There's some of that, like, you just want to be part of the crowd. You want to be seen as a bad man.
Or even taken away from being seen as a bad man, it's the being a part of something. Like, that's like your family. So if you look at a lot of cases, a lot of these boys don't necessarily have that kind of...
I agree. I know what you're saying.
Not all of them, though.
All of them. Yeah. All of them come from decent homes.
Some of them come from decent homes, yeah.
Two parents in a home. What's your excuse?
2 or 1, whatever. A decent home is a decent home. So, I don't think it's blanket.
Yeah,
but I think you've got to look at different reasons and kind of avenues in. And I think there is definitely that one of wanting to be accepted and to feel like you fit in, where society tells you, well, you're not going to be that, or you can't be that, or maybe you didn't do too well in school, or maybe you were laughed at by the teachers, maybe you were put down by the teachers, maybe you were kind of like sidelined a bit, so you go and you find kind of comfort in whatever
the last
else.
word, or maybe you just spent too much time listening to rap music.
Maybe
that's another thing as well.
Because even that, you say that, and music in itself, we got to be careful what we're listening and what we're plugging into.
There's a whole generation that grew up listening to gangster rap, who just thought that was those stories told were glamorous. And,
it's the glamorization of these situations. But I think the difference is, I don't even think necessarily it's the lyrics. I think it's more from a spiritual perspective, I feel like it's more the beat patterns and the music, like how it's penetrating. Because if you have music that's going at a certain pace, like, that's kind of like tapping into a rhythm. Yeah. So if you've got that, like, say for example, like drill music or whatever, it's going at a certain pace, and then you've got that kind of, it's that adrenaline rush, and then on top of that, then you've got the lyrics, and it's like it's penetrating. It's like you're absorbing that more than people, you think. Yeah. And a lot of people don't see music like that.
But speaking of, like, mental health and the music, there was, like, a couple months ago, a guy, it must have been last year, a black boy, this country. He stabbed a boy to death, because I remember the story, but I didn't know the full story until after he was convicted. Mm-hmm. So basically, this guy, he was about 17. He went round to this girl's house. That was his friend. I don't think they were boyfriend and girlfriend. She was just a friend. But when he went round there, her boyfriend was there. Fine. So 3 of them are sitting on the settee, just watching TV or whatever. The guy then, the murderer, goes upstairs, all teenagers, or maybe, they're late teens. He goes upstairs, then this someone has a knife on him, comes back downstairs and stabs her boyfriend to death. Just stabs him to death. No reason. There was nothing. So then the reason was, he said that after listening to some music, I think it was drill, like it got to him, it made him want to kill someone. That's his that was his excuse.
You see, this is
I think, you're mentally ill. Like there's something.
But it's a mental illness. But
that's
then
the only reason he stabbed him.
What's taken him to that mental? To that.
He blamed music. So.
But the thing is, I can kind of take part of that as a justification. I think when we're talking about people being mentally sick, like we just presume it's maybe the way they've grown up, or sometimes people are just predisposed to it. Maybe they smoke a bit of weed, maybe they take drugs. We're always looking for answers like that. But sometimes I think it can be as simple as the music you're listening to.
Yeah, the music. I think a friend of mine was saying that, and in some cases I think this is true. She said maybe a lot of these teenagers as well probably came over as asylum seekers. They've come from certain parts of the world where it was war-torn. Mm-hmm. We don't know what trauma they went through.
Been through, and that hasn't been
what
addressed.
They've seen. It hasn't been addressed. And now as teenagers, they're just
out there.
Yeah. So that could be, because I could go deeper into that, but I don't want to.
No, I kind of know what, I think I know what group you're talking about in particular, but it's kind of like, and at the end of the day, that needs to be addressed. Like, you're never too young for therapy. Yeah. And I think if you have been privy to certain situations and seen things in your life, especially as a young age, you've got to remember from the age of from 3 onwards, you pretty much remember everything.
Yeah.
Or, it's more or less.
Yeah.
That's tapped in there somewhere, even before that. Depends on how you are as an individual. So, if you're witnessing shit, even like if you've come from a home where there's domestic violence and stuff,
even that,
you might not think that's affecting you, but how you see things, like that boy, you don't know. It could be how you see women. Then you hear music, and that music kind of compounds your thoughts, or not even compounds, probably the wrong word, but like intensifies what you think and feel. Before you know it, you've got a knife in your hand, and
you're just you're off stabbing people.
And it's so sad because all of these boys, I would go as far as to say, all of these boys that are out here doing this, if given the chance, they can amount to so much.
Oh, of course. Some of them are really, really talented.
Very intelligent.
And I don't mean just on music.
Yeah,
and
intelligent and talented,
They could be mathematicians. They're probably really good at something.
And it's so sad. It actually breaks my heart when I see it, because I just think, not only for the boy that's died, but also for the boy...
The boy that's committed the crime.
Yeah, because
you've destroyed your life, you've destroyed your family's life,
everybody.
You've destroyed the victim's gone, and you've destroyed his just family's lives.
And there's a level of vulnerability that you just see. And even when you look at the toughest looking brother, he's looking grimy and dirty and natty. But if you look, you just see there's always a level of, and you just think, Jesus, it just didn't need to go like that.
My friend told me that she went to a meeting where they were talking about knife crime, and there were lawyers there who have defended these kids who have killed people. She said when the sentence comes down, they're screaming. They're taking them down. They're screaming. I'm like...
Yeah, because it's all fun and games until it becomes a reality.
Everyone wants to play bad man until they're standing up in a dock.
Right.
And they're looking at a long sentence.
And sometimes I wonder if they actually really, really understand what they're about to do until it's too late.
Yeah.
Because the talk... It's okay to talk that talk.
You get the adrenaline rush. All the boys are there. Everyone's fighting. Next minute, someone's on the ground, stabbed to death.
And you realise that it's you doing time. All your boys are suddenly no longer around. You are the only one that's facing time.
You're in prison. Then some of them are so young, but then they might move on to adult prison. You're there for a while. You don't come out until maybe your 30s.
And you're in the system. And that's it.
Everyone's moved. Everything. The world has changed. Yep. Everyone's just got on with their life.
Everyone's moved on.
The people that you were running the streets with, they got their families.
Yeah,
they
got themselves together.
Out.
They grew out of it.
Their hands are clean.
Yeah. And that's what's so sad. And I guess it's just a case of trying to get that message across. Yeah. It really burns me. Do you know that? It really burns me.
You see, Sadiq Khan, the mayor, was talking about, was saying he's now decided that the link between crime, or something about poverty, like something that we all knew. I think, can you stop talking? Like, what are you going to do about this?
Yeah. I think, poverty in some respects. Yeah, but and kids need things to do as well.
They need things to do, but I think maybe it's time to be quite ruthless if they want to stop this. Yeah. But they have to...
There's got to be holding drastic, back. Yeah.
They have to do something drastic. A lot of people aren't going to like it, but
And also, you know, when you really think about it, you know, it does make you wonder, is it something that they're quite happy to allow to continue because it takes away from everything else that's happening?
Sometimes you do wonder sometimes.
I always
Because I
wonder.
believe that the authorities, they know who the perpetrators are. Like if you notice, like when someone stabbed to death within a day they find a suspect because these people are already. Sometimes even the victim, they're already in the system. They know these gangs. Yeah. They know everything. They know what's coming.
But I suppose you can't stop it. It's just a matter of when.
It's a matter of when. People say if more white kids in London die, because it's mostly London or females, then you never know.
But isn't it interesting that, you know, knife crime and stuff like that is rife in places like Scotland, although they seem to be having it under control. Yeah,
they clean that up. And that's what they were saying. Like, why can't why can't they do what?
Yeah.
It's like, but I think they know what to do. But anyway, that's
like I said. Is it like right? This is it. Is it okay to keep it going the way it is because it takes away from all the other bullshit that's happening?
I think because London is slowly being gentrified, sooner or later, the more wealthy people move in, they're going to get rid of. They're going to.
Oh yeah, those problems will be somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very sad.
I think there's a plan.
There's always a plan, John.
Yeah, there's always a plan. There's a plan.
We just kind of fit in to that plan where we're needed to be.
Yeah.
Really sad.
Definitely.
Speaking of plans,